Welcome to our playground.
Recess the podcast is an eclectic show of organic discussion, imagination, deep conversations, interviews, creativity, intuition, high vibrations, and fun.
Be informed, energized, inspired, and entertained with me, Jamie.
And me, Brian. Ready or not, here we come.
Because we all need to take a break. Hey, Brian, how's it going?
I'm great, Jamie. How are you?
I'm so happy to be able to play with you and our lovely guests today, MarBeth and Teri. You want to introduce them?
Yeah, basically they're peace advocates and they're doing some really awesome, amazing work in the world. And I know that we all kind of want world peace and, but so they're actually doing something about it rather than just wishing like a lot of us do. They just recently finished a program that was called 10 Million for World Peace. And World Peace Day was actually on September 21st. So I'm excited to chat with them about their program and the results and, what are some ways that we can look to ourselves and to others and how to be more peaceful in this world.
I love it.
So welcome. Yeah.
Welcome, ladies.
Thank
Great to have
you.
you.
It's good to be here.
Yeah, fabulous.
Absolutely. So I want to know what inspired both of you to come together and create the 10 Million for World Peace program that you did and just finished.
You want me to take that, Teri?
Sure.
No fighting.
No fighting.
We don't fight.
Even though
That's
that's
one
sometimes
of the
that happens.
things.
We're peaceful.
Yes, you are. Just testing.
So in 2018, I woke up one morning and it was basically 2 months after the Marjory Stoneman Douglas massacre. And I lived 5 blocks from Marjory Stoneman Douglas, and I'm an empath. So when the shooting happened, I immediately sent love and peace to everybody that was involved. And I was fine until the kids came back to school. And I was doing yoga and all of a sudden I couldn't breathe. I could just feel like all of the anxiety and the fear that they were going through. And, and I had to do some work to basically clear myself of that and also to send that love and peace to them. And about 2 months later, I woke up and I basically got a download that you're going to create a world peace experiment, a meditation experiment, and in 2 weeks. It's like, what? How could, give me more time. Can I have some more time? No, it's going to happen in 2 weeks. But it did. It did. I had an assistant who pulled everything together. God bless her. I wish I'd had her for this one. It would have made life easier. But working with Teri is wonderful. So within 2 weeks, I launched what I thought was going to be my conference line. I had invited people from all over the world. I had people in Japan and people in other parts of Asia and Europe and Central and South America, all over the US and Canada. And not that there were that many of us, because there weren't. I think we had maybe at that point about 350 people signed up. Now, I had heard of other peace projects. For example, in the 1980s, Dr. John Hagelin, who's a world-renowned quantum physicist, but he's also the head of the Transcendental Meditation Organization. He had led a group of meditators to meditate in Washington, D.C. for 10 hours a day. But this was in person. And they did this for weeks. And the level of violence dropped 20%. He, as a scientist, he tried to take everything into account, what could have created it besides, the meditation. But the stock market went up, accidents went down, violence went down, and it was pretty dramatic. Then he led other experiments in Israel. He had 500 meditators go to Israel when the peace accord fell apart, and they went there, meditated 10 hours a day, and the peace accord came together. So among other things, the accidents went down, the violence went down. So that was pretty dramatic, proof that something like this could happen. But we weren't going to do it in person. I was guided that this was going to happen just 7 minutes a day, that I would lead people in meditations into the unified field of consciousness. We would focus on our beautiful earth. But I also decided that it would be good to focus on the Middle East because I could access statistics about what was happening there during the period of the meditation. So after a month, I stopped, but I really wanted to continue, and I brought people in like Teri, and she was a wonderful meditation leader, being a spiritual teacher for so many years, and a peace pilgrim. And so we went for 6 months altogether, and the level of violence in the Middle East dropped 20% by independent statistics. So that was pretty great, really. But I wanted to do it again, and I wasn't guided to. It was a matter of timing until fast forward to 2023, 5 years later, and I'm on Teri's podcast, the Peapod, and she had a guest who was from Australia who is working against she's working for nuclear disarmament. And so Teri said, tell her about your project, MarBeth. And I did. And she said, well, that's great, but you need to do it for world leaders. And Teri and I looked at each other, and here we are together with, we created 10 million for world peace as a nonprofit. Our 21-day challenge was our launch. And we got so many people to sign up, and so many people emailed and told us how it affected them. And with all of the peace organizations that were involved in so many different peace experiences during this period, the results are pretty dramatic.
That's fantastic.
Wow. Yeah. So what made you decide to focus on world leaders this go around? Obviously, I mean, we all know that they need some help. But...
They needed some help. They needed some significant help. You want to take that, Teri?
Well, yeah, because this is where it's going to really impact all of us. The leaders, whether they're a national leader of a country, a nation, or there are local leaders in local government, they're making decisions every day. And if we can make an influence to turn that to positive, it's going to impact all of us, the entire world. And we have seen the statistic of when people put energy forth in a positive way to make a difference. We have seen what happens when a lot of people get together and show compassion. And there's been scientific evidence of that happening. We quote HeartMath Institute a lot, because they do all of the frequency of the planet. They graph it and chart it and see what's happening at the time when those levels either skyrocket or drop. And what they found are things where there's a catastrophic event, 911, for instance. And they show that chart and the energy going through the roof of people showing compassion and setting their intention to come together as empathetic souls, just wanting to hold each other and create that energy of let's have peace. So this is where we can make a difference. If we can impact those leaders, and then it trickles down to all of us, we will have world peace. And I fully believe that. But it takes a village. It takes all of us really wanting it and creating whatever we can. Our little project, we wanted 10 million together, and we've collaborated with other peace projects that are happening. We've collaborated with the Peace Alliance, and they're making an impact right now in Washington, D.C. with bringing together the the Department of Peace Building. So these are some of the things that we are looking at of how we can work together and move forward toward peace, not just us, but with other people and other organizations.
I love that, because what you're pointing to, I hear this so often with many people. We talk about what's happening in the world, in our own local governments, all that. It's like, we're just the little people. We can't create any change. We can't cause anything to happen. It's all happening in this bigger scale of what we don't know and all this sort of thing. But this is a perfect way, as we know that whole phrase, you want change in the world, start with the one inside of you, right? And so that's a beautiful way of being able to contribute. And you pointed to Heart Math and all the work that they're doing, and we know that this heart field extends way beyond us, and that if we can keep cultivating that peaceful energy, the love, the compassion, and radiating that one out, that also is another way of being able to impact. So yeah,
When minds are joined, miracles can happen.
that's right.
And it's a very ancient precept, and it's so true.
Yeah.
In fact, you've heard of Nostradamus and all of his
course.
dire predictions. So Nostradamus lived in the 1500s, and he is very famous. And people have been misinterpreted his predictions all over the place. Everybody's got a different interpretation, and they're all awful. So in the 1980s, there was a woman, very renowned. I had not heard of her, but she is very renowned, named Dolores Cannon, who did past life regressions. And she had a client. When she took her back, she discovered this woman had been a student of Nostradamus. So she would take her back and explore. She would describe the studio where he worked and where she trained as a student. So this happened to, over a couple of months. And then the student said, the master is here and he wants to talk to you. So now Nostradamus in the 1500s was communicating with a woman in the 1980s. And he told her, I want to work with you. I want to set the record straight about all of my predictions. So she thought, well, this is a one-off situation where, the circumstances are not going to replicate again, that this could possibly happen. But they did. And over 3 years, she worked with Nostradamus and revisited most of his predictions. And he was happy to set the record straight. And then he said, you've made it. If you make it through the 1990s, then in the 2000s, you will discover that minds can be joined and you can usher in 1,000 years of peace. So the predictions are there, but they don't have to be. We can create peace.
It's so easy to be overwhelmed with all the negativity that's out there. I mean, the news, obviously, it's purposely aimed at just to kind of keep us in fear. And it's real easy to kind of want to throw our heads in the hole and just ignore all the quote calamity that's happening. Although there's a ton of amazing things happening that we just don't know about because it's not shown to us. But this is a practical way to kind of get people to not only come together and make change, but also to kind of snap out of it a little bit and wake up to how it could be.
Yes,
my opinion.
exactly.
I have a challenge question, and it's really because everyone has their own interpretation of words, of energy. How would you interpret peace? What does that mean for you, ladies?
I love this question. I do, because I am a peace pilgrim. I've been on a journey now for 3 years and spreading peace throughout the United States at the moment, and hopefully beyond that. But as I go through the country, I actually talk to people about peace, and I ask them, what is peace? We say we want peace, but what is it? What does that mean? And there's such a variety of things that people answer with that. But the most that I have heard, it's that serenity, that calmness, that losing the fear of having to look over your shoulder and see when the next foot's going to drop, when the next calamity is going to happen, or world catastrophe. Just knowing that there is a possibility that we can get along with each other and respect each other and live our lives in integrity of that we see each other as equal and stop all of this nonsense of comparison and competition and build each other up instead of tear each other down. So these are some of the things that I get as I talk to people about peace. And I'd love to hear from you, MarBeth, and what your experience is and your thoughts on that.
For me, I think that it's happiness. When you're peaceful, you're in a place of contentment. You feel safe. You feel happy. And I think that they're pretty synonymous, really, in a place, and also loving. You're in a place of extending love because it's safe to do so. And you feel okay. And since you're not feeling threatened in any way, you're feeling good, you're feeling peaceful, you can extend that love to other people. And it's just a really beautiful way to share it.
I love that. And I love all the different interpretations too, because I'm going to say yes and to what you're describing. For me, my interpretation of peace is staying centered in the middle of everything, welcoming everything, and knowing that even if I'm facing something that makes me feel unhappy or uncomfortable or pain, I can still have peace by being centered. I can meet it with my full presence. And for me, that's my interpretation of peace. So
It's beautiful.
yeah.
You can choose it. It's a choice.
Exactly. What's that?
I saw Brian thinking.
I
Oh,
know.
wow. Yeah, you see the smoke coming out of my ears? No, yeah, no. Why 21 days? Is that like the magic number to kind of make that something a habit? Is it, I'm guessing, or?
It was our launch, and the 1st of September seemed like the right time, and the 21st was World Peace Day. So what a perfect day to culminate. And so many other people and organizations were also celebrating World Peace Day in so many different ways. So I think it just adds to the focus on peace. And what I really love about the work that we're doing is that we're focusing just 7 minutes a day. That's all it takes. Just join with us for 7 minutes a day and follow along in the guided meditation. Just give us your beautiful mind to share, and hold the vision with us. Hold that intention. And as we gather 10 million people together, and we're still gathering, and it's really doable, because if every one of us invites 10 people to collaborate with us and be part of our work, and they bring in 10 people, and they bring in 10 people, it's not long before we have 10 million. And can you imagine the power? When I did the World Peace Experiment in 2018, we had maybe 350 people, and not all of them were there for the meditations. But look at the effect.
Mm.
It takes so little to reach that tipping point for us to really turn things around. And one statistic, and I'm sorry I don't have the source of where this came from, but one statistic says that one person vibrating at the high energy of peace and love and joy counterbalances 750,000 other people who are at the lower end of the vibration, in the chaos and the contrast. So can you imagine 10 million people and how that effect really will turn this around?
I love that. And since we know that everything is connected, not only will world leaders be affected, but so will Mother Nature.
Yes.
So will our sentient beings, our four-legged friends, I just think of all of that and how it can be of great benefit. So Have you ladies run into any obstacles or naysayers, people coming after you, or issues with this at all? Any resistance?
I had one.
I was just curious. I mean, you would think everybody wants world peace, but you never know.
No, I actually I had just been on a podcast, and right after the podcast, someone from that organization, I didn't know she was new and had not seen what I was doing on the podcast, reached out to me. So I said, "Oh, okay, I'll connect with you." I thought she'd seen what we were doing. And when she heard it, she was just, she was kind of like, this is toxic. I can't do this. It doesn't agree with my religion. And it was like, okay. Yeah, we're doing the devil's work here.
Interesting interpretation. Yeah. I mean, what if there are people who want peace, but they have that strong religious tradition in them? Can they access it in other ways besides meditation?
Yes, and prayer.
Of
Prayer is
course.
a type of meditation.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's just different.
Intention is everything. You know,
Yes.
we set intentions every day, whether we consciously say it or not. We have an intention for how we want to see things go in our world. So of course, set the intention to have peace in your life and it will show up.
Love that.
How has this project changed both of you? Or has it? I mean, or maybe is it maybe kind of like giving you this, like, pushed even further into kind of like your mission and your belief in what you're doing?
It's definitely changed me. I tend to be pretty impulsive and I'm intuitive, and having a nonprofit and working to organize a nonprofit is definitely a very different experience than my initial peace experiment. That was an experiment, and I did fund it myself, and and there's a lot that goes into doing an experiment and also to running a nonprofit. So learning and growing, and then also the very first meditation day, I led the meditation. The next day I came down with COVID. So I had to turn everything over to Teri and her very capable hands to handle everything, to interview people, and to just run the show. But she did a beautiful job.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, like I said, I've been boots on the ground for 3 years now, moving throughout the United States and talking to people. This project just seems to have really expanded me and my reach that I can have, because this is global. It doesn't matter. I mean, I have people that are part of my supporters of my Peace on Earth tour, but this is so global and so many people. It's so simple that anybody can get involved no matter where they're at. And I work with angels, and they have told me, keep it simple, sweetie. Yes, that simple rule. No matter what you do, if you make it simple, then people can understand and grasp it. And so, yeah, to answer that question, it's really expanded me beyond what I could even imagine the reach could be of what I'm doing for peace.
So beautiful.
And it's offered many opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. And I can't believe we're out of time.
Yeah, I was gonna
it goes
ask.
by so fast. So yeah, Brian.
Real quick, yeah. What's next? Do you have any other projects or programs planned?
Oh yes,
we do. We have some exciting stuff that's coming up, and we're organizing that, and it'll be coming out. But we've been brainstorming. Where do we go from here? And is it okay if I share, MarBeth?
sure.
So one thing that has come up is for us to focus on a country a month or a project such as
Climate change.
climate crisis, human trafficking, something that we can focus a whole month on that meditation and that intention of bringing a shift and a change.
Beautiful. Wow. Thank you for this great, great work that you're doing in the world. Obviously, it's felt. The statistics will be there. And I hope that many, many who are listening to this, watching this, will join us in peace. So thank you, ladies.
Thank you both so much.
Thank you, Jamie and Brian.
You're welcome, and we'll have your information in the show notes for people to take a look at.
It was an honor to be here with you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining Jamie and Brian on Recess, the podcast, the twice-weekly show of eclectic, inspired, and entertaining discussion. Be sure to subscribe as well as share with your friends and spread the good news. It's always appreciated. If you'd like to learn more about Jamie's intuitive coaching services and creative projects, please go to jamiedonn.com. And if you'd like to learn more about Brian and his creative spark world and books, please go to gbrianbenson.com.